I mean, they're playing the Cubs today. The Cubs do have a financial advantage, but a lot of the guys on that team aren't making like insane boatloads of money. They made good trades. They drafted players that actually developed and came to the major leagues. Like, it absolutely is about the bad job Cherington's done getting talent here and the bad job that Shelton does managing what he does have.
Yeah, I meant it's not about them personally. You know, I like those guys. It's about how bad they are doing at their job. They haven't done anything right. Other than draft Paul Skenes, and he was just sitting there. And I was afraid they were going to screw that up. And speaking of Paul Skenes, that's our live poll question here tonight. Just scan the right corner of your screen, the QR code right there. Has Paul Skenes been disappointing so far this season? You know, I would say yes. I mean, just based on today's start. For me, it seems like he has like 100 pitches now, Chris. I mean, last year, didn't he have like 4, maybe 2 go-to pitches or 3, including that curveball or slider? But now, I mean, is he working on too many things?
I think there's such a thing as paralysis by analysis, and I think he's so hyper-analytical in addition to being physically gifted as far as how he wants to get hitters out that maybe he's gotten too caught up in the chess match at times and trying to be too, I don't want to say too clever by half, but having an answer for every question that a batter could pose. Sometimes Paul Skenes needs to just remember that he can rear back at any time that he really wants to and throw the ball 101, usually with good location, and use that as a weapon. I think he should be throwing mostly four-seamers, then using the slider, then the splinker. And if you want to add in 2 more pitches for the other 15% of the offerings you're putting out there, like occasionally throw in like a true curveball to throw a hitter off, fine. You want to throw in like a true changeup, fine. But stick to your bread and butter. His bread and butter is probably 3, maybe 4 pitches, and he should lean on them more heavily than he has. He also just wasn't good today. Like sometimes, I don't want to make too much out of it. Has he been disappointing so far? By the standards of mere mortals, no. By the standards of Paul Skenes, yes. He just didn't have his stuff today. He didn't have his spot. He's lowered his arm angle by about 3 degrees this year. You can go look that stuff up online. I'm not really sure. I think like the Pirates want these guys tunneling their pitches where they all come out of the same release point. So that might be one thing they're tinkering with. If that's really messing him up to any significant degree, then the team ought to get out of the way like they have for most of his career and just let him do his thing.
Has his velocity been down?
A tick. I mean, it was averaging for all of last year 98.8 with the four-seamer. It's at 98 flat this year. So that's not really down much. It's still well above league average, but it's down a tick. I think if we get into it's been pretty warm lately, albeit, but if we get into the summer and he is still down around 98 or he sinks down to like 97.5, then I'll start to have an eyebrow raise. But right now he looks like a guy who's trying to become more of a pitcher instead of a thrower, which I would say is not always the right answer for him.
All right, we're getting ready to take a break here, but before we take a break, and we get a ton of phone calls about the Pirates, we will get to a break right now. 412-575-2600 is the number. Give us a call. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity Mobile Tweet of the Night. Before we get to more Pirates calls and subjects, let's take a look at this tweet by Ross Tucker. Who is the best high school football player you've ever seen? Tucker said Terrell Pryor. This is an interesting question, and a question that I like. And look, I watched all these guys around here play. The best high school football player that I've ever seen, Chris, in person is Steve Breston. He wowed me. Every time he got the ball, you didn't know what he was going to do. I think he averaged something like 45 yards plus touchdown runs. The kid was incredible, especially his senior year.
He would be on my short list for sure. I didn't see him in person, but you see enough highlights that you know what you're getting into. My dad saw him in person and was wowed the way you were. Mine would either be as a kid, LeVar Arrington, or more modern-day Terrell Pryor. I think I've still got to give the nod to Pryor. You can put all the caveats in there. Did he play good enough competition being at such a small school? Breston was at Woody High. That's, 4 or 5 or whatever A it was back then. LeVar was at North Hills when that was one of the biggest schools in the area, so he was playing other big schools. But Pryor was just different, man. I mean, 6'6", 240, a legitimate top 20 basketball recruit, too. Could do whatever he wanted. I don't know if you remember this play, but on a Whippeal title game, this is the one that kind of seals it for me, Rich. They're going against Beaver Falls. They're going against Todd Thomas, who we know went on to play at Pitt, so no slouch in the athletic department himself. And Terrell Pryor on a 4th and short tries to fall over the line of scrimmage for a first down on like a 4th and 1. nobody touches him, so he kind of gets up, looks around like, oh, nobody's touching me, and just jets off down between the hash marks. And Todd Thomas has an angle and can't even come close to running him down. That was kind of one of those eye-openers where you just say, yeah, that guy is built extremely different than everybody else playing against him.
Yeah, I mean, LeVar Arrington, a little older than us. I never saw him play in high school, but I heard everyone that you talk to that is older than us that watched high school sports or followed, they always say LeVar Arrington. So for me, it was Steve Breston. I had a chance to cover him and watch even Terrell Pryor. Yeah, it's 1 and 1A. You can't leave out, though. I mean, if we're talking about this, Darrelle Revis is in the conversation. So is Tyler Boyd. Those are the kind of. I think those are the top, maybe 4 or 5.
The older crowd that's in their 50s or 60s by this point would probably tell you Brian Davis from Washington.
Oh, yes.
In the 80s. So
who I think is working as a jail guard right now.
Out.
In Virginia.
Well, his career in football did not pan out the way guys like, Darrelle Revis's did, where he's in the Hall of Fame. Tony Dorsett's another one I think we would have to say qualifies here, because that guy was great at every level. He truly figured it out. But I know a lot of people talk about Brian Davis from Wash High in like all near mythical terms. Like you hear stories about him and people just almost talk about like it's in hushed tones, like you wouldn't have believed it if you saw it with your own 2 eyes, and even if you did see it with your own 2 eyes, you were having trouble explaining it, etc.
Yeah, I hear those things too. It would have been nice to see him play, but I wasn't around then. So, all right, 412-575-2600. Back to the phone lines. Let's go out to Jerry in Franklin. How you doing, Jerry?
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. Hey, a couple of points. You guys are talking about Ben Cherington, and I try to watch the draft, at least the first round anyway, and it seems to me the Pirates are taking the guys that are ranked really highly, and I'm just wondering if their coaching just really stinks in the lower levels. And then the second thing is about them not scoring runs. You got to put a lot of singles together to get any runs, and sadly they've got a woeful lack of power.
Well, development has been a major issue. I know a lot of people, I hang on the not spending a lot of money, but there's also not developing guys, and they have both. So, I mean, it's a recipe for disaster.
Well, I can look at a couple things. I think Jerry brings up an interesting point. It's not with Henry Davis, he was still considered a first-round pick, but when they took him 1-1, they were trying to get a value draft going, and he has been completely atrocious at the big league level, just a massive bust. Even if he had been taken after 1-1 and he was this kind of player, it would be a huge bust. So you have to wonder about development there. Like, definitely, have they coached this guy up? Did they pick the wrong guy? Termarr Johnson is a 4th overall pick, Rich. He's in his age 21 season. He's in Double-A. I would say he looks more like just a guy than a true difference maker. Now, this Connor Griffin that they picked, who's only 19, he's ripping it up for Bradenton, and he just looks like the total package, like the Mike Trout body type, the guy who could have played football very easily but chose baseball. And so there's some hope there, but when you watch guys come up through the Pirates minor league system, this has always been a pet peeve of mine dating back to Huntington. I'm sure it's like selection bias or we're too close to it here, but every other team's prospects generally seem to be more acclimated to the big leagues quicker than do the Pirates. And it's like torture to get some of these guys to actually produce like regular major leaguers. And so I have to put that on their development and their coaching.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Let's go out to Steve in Texas. How you doing, Steve?
Good. Hey, gentlemen. I got a little bit of out-of-box question here. Is there a line of conduct that can't be crossed by a reporter after the game interviews of the coaching staff? And let me give you an example. This is the question I would ask. Who made the stupid decision to tell the players to be over-aggressive and throwing at the first pitch? Now, on the broadcast, Brownie and Young noted that there was 10 one-pitch outs by the Pirate hitters today. And Kevin Young even made an outstanding point that due to this aggressive approach, Paul Skenes was not only able to collect his thoughts and game plan, but he barely had enough time to get a squig of Gatorade. Gentlemen, 4 winning seasons out of the last 33 years, we're tired of losing. It's time for...
Yeah, I mean, we're tired. I mean, I get that. All the fans say we're tired of losing. I think reporters say that too. So I don't necessarily think
I'm
if
not
it's
tired
phrased
of losing,
correctly.
Richie. I can deal with a lot more losing. Let's keep on losing, Richie. I'm not tired. I have yet to become tired of losing here. I can take at least 20 more seasons.
We're venturing into apathy, though, now, Chris, and that's a big problem, I think. I mean,
well, it is. You always want fans to be angry, but when the anger does just turn to apathy, other than when Paul Skenes is pitching, you're 100% right. That's a very dangerous place for any ball club to be. They've been there too often. I will just answer very quickly the actual code of conduct that reporters can or can't ask that. The question that the caller posed there, you could just ask easily of Donnie Kelly today, it would have been, hey, was there a strategy to swing at the first pitch on purpose frequently? It happened X number of times. It was pointed out on the broadcast, whatever. That's a completely above-board question and one worth asking. O'Neal Cruz, I know, did it and swung at the first pitch of the game. He's a guy that right now I don't want to mess with, Rich. I mean, if he wants to do that, if he's taking that aggressive look, if he's hitting some first at bat or even first or second pitch home runs to start some of these games, I'm fine with that. He also tattooed the one he hit in the first inning today. It just was right at somebody. So the rest of these guys, though, I'm always torn, right? Like you could say, here's the downside. You swing at the first pitch, you give the other team quick innings, you don't give your starter time to rest. He gets tired earlier. But these aren't very good hitters, and if the first pitch is the best pitch that they're going to see, they probably should try to put their best swing on it. I don't like the idea of too many of these guys going deep into counts and trying to be a Wade Boggs type of hitter. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I like being aggressive, but I also like wearing out the other pitcher too. But also, I don't know how aggressive you can be with this lineup. You just pointed it out. I mean, you look at the bottom half of that lineup. There's not many guys that are over 200 in batting average, and I know a lot of people don't look at batting average now, but I do. Canario is 97. Some of the other guys, I don't know, Henry Davis is like 160 or something. Jared Triolo is 163. I mean, these guys.
Go look at OPS, Rich. Their OPSs are like in the 500s. You could put a bunch of good hitting pitchers from back in the day in their lineup, and they would be better. Like Chris Owings, you could put Greg Maddux and probably have a better hitting pitcher. You could have
Stephen Brault.
I'm trying to think of a bunch of other guys.
He was a good hitting pitcher for the Pirates a couple years ago.
Wasn't Rick Russell way back in the day a great hitting pitcher? I mean, you could put a bunch of these guys in. Carlos Zambrano was great at hitting back in the day. You can say you look at batting average while other people don't. These guys just don't get on base. They don't hit for even a speck of power. This all goes back to what you started with. This is an indictment of the highest order on the general manager. Yeah. He has just made terrible move after terrible move, and it really is, when you observe the product that he has put together and how it looks on the field, it is remarkable that he is still employed.
You know what? You made a great point earlier when you pointed out that you really want this guy conducting a draft. I don't know if I do. I've seen enough. Let's go out to Kirk and Manor. How you doing, Kirk?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
Thanks for calling.
I just wanted to run something past you. What do you think about not playing Kiner Falefa at short? I think they have issues.
All right. Well, I mean, okay. Who would you put there then, Chris?
Well, it's not even so much a question of who would you put there, although that is a real question, because obviously they don't have a ton of guys maybe that they trust. But Kiner Falefa, some of the value that he was supposed to provide was that he could move out all over the field, play just about every position on the diamond, and give you some of that defensive flexibility and versatility, maybe shades of Josh Harrison, but they're just anchoring him to one position. And given his reputation, his whole career as a super utility guy, I think it's fair to wonder if that's hurting him at the plate. Although, even as I say that out loud, this is the other part of the Kiner Falefa situation that's bad. They paid for a guy at the deadline last year who was having a career year at the plate. He's like a 663 OPS. That's basically his career number. This is who he is offensively, which isn't much.
All right, we're going to take a break. Back to wrap things up coming up next. Stay right there.